Welcome to the Passion and Purpose Unleashed interview series. My name is Belinda Hayward. I am a practicing herbalist, nutritionist, health and results coach, psychic energy healer, life purpose astrologer, and human design and Gene Key student. In this series, I am talking with guest speakers who themselves are aligned with their passion and purpose, and part of their work, part of their legacy is really supporting others to also cultivate that passion and purpose. So my special guest today is Jayne Martin, who is a spiral practitioner. She's a coach, and she's all about leading women to bloom bravely into their purpose, to birth soul-led businesses and live fulfilled lives. Jayne, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, I'm so happy to have you here. It's great. I'm blessed that you've been able to spend this time with us today. So the session and the series is all about passion and purpose. So what is it that you're passionate about when it comes to really supporting other women entrepreneurs?
My journey has been one of self-worth along my entrepreneurial journey. So that's what I'm really passionate about helping other women with. Because in my 20s, it was all about finding my purpose or what really felt, I suppose, what I was passionate about. And I landed into coaching. It kind of just happened naturally. And then once I started a business, you don't realize how all of the things that come with it. But I didn't realize how, I suppose, insecure I was in a lot of ways. I felt like I had imposter syndrome and people pleasing and, all of those things that came with being an entrepreneur. So that's what I'm really passionate about, helping women with now is their self-worth, in business as an entrepreneur, because you can be passionate about something that, you can still battle. Well, I know what it's like to battle, insecurity, imposter syndrome. Do I have value to offer? Is this good enough? Am I worthy enough? How do I charge for what I do? Things like that. But also letting go of the need to having to constantly prove yourself and do more and that hustling and looking at everyone else, what everyone else is doing, that comparison, and just really coming back to your purpose and your calling and what is what you're passionate about, and knowing that you are innately enough, you are worthy just as you are. There's nothing that you could do that would make you more worthy. It's just a matter of tapping into that, your purpose and your own light, your own gifts, and that's enough. So
I love that. Yeah. And I think you're right. It's so important. And especially, having your own business, it does bring a lot of this up. And as you said, I think a lot of us do struggle with that. It's we can work with coaches, we can do the programs, but if at a deep level we're doubting ourselves, questioning our worth, you're never going to really show up, and you're never going to really align with everything that's on your heart to bring to the world. So I love that you're doing that. I think it's something we all struggle with in so many ways, that feeling unworthy. And you're right. I mean, we are innately worthy, but from conditioning and a lot of programming and things that's there, we need to be reminded of that and come back to that truth. So I love that you're doing that. Such important work for all of us, really. And the imposter syndrome, so much of us deal with that, and the comparisonitis. So the importance of really staying in your own lane. And actually, that was one of the questions I also wanted to ask you. How do you support women with really aligning with, I guess, the work that lights them up, but also being able to tap into their uniqueness, their unique gifts?
So with the coaching, and also with the spiral work that I do, as you're familiar with, the emotional clearing work, which really helps you to get out of your head and into your feelings and your body, which connects you to the heart and your purpose and your intuition. So how I do that is, I suppose, with those tools of tapping you into your body, getting out of your head and overthinking it, but just allowing you to feel what's actually there. And then whether it's there is I don't know, sadness or grief or shame, things like that, heavier emotions, allowing yourself to be that and feel that. And then by experiencing those heavier emotions, that then allows you to experience more joy, more when you can feel your own feelings, like, and hold yourself through that, that then gives you, I suppose, more permission or bravery in a way to go out there and actually, you know, do the scary things. Like, that's why I love the phrase like blooming bravely. The title of my podcast, like, it requires bravery. Like, the things that are usually, what we're here to do isn't necessarily easy. Like, it can seem simple, but it's not necessarily easy. So I think a big part is like to help them slow down, get out of their head, get into their body, feel what is calling them, like what's on their heart, and then give them permission, or like help them to tap into that courage or that bravery, so that they can then do what they're really here to do.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And it's funny, I did a post very similar to that in recent days, actually, but just about that, you know, sometimes actually allowing yourself to just be present with what's there and move through it and lead yourself through it. And, you know, it does help you to, once you've gone to those depths and gone where you almost don't want to go, then it gives you that ability to have that range and then feel the highs as well with it, you know. So yeah, no, I love that. And just on that, you touched on the spiral journey. So tell me a little bit about that, because I know what it's all about, because obviously you've led me through that journey. But for people that aren't familiar with it, can you tell us just a little bit about, I guess, how it crossed your path, maybe some changes that you've experienced with it, and essentially just what is it?
Yeah, gosh, just summing it up is like so difficult to wrap into a really succinct way, but I'll try my best. Like, basically, this guy called Jayne Thomas created it. He pulled together all of these different modalities, or the best of what he really resonated with. So it uses muscle testing from kinesiology. It incorporates the chakra system, like spiral dynamics. Like, there's just so much power in this one modality, I suppose you could say. But it really works with like the emotional body. So clearing, what we do emotional clearing. So it's really powerful because if you've been doing a lot of coaching, it can be quite mental, like bodied, or working with the mind. What I was noticing with my coaching before I went through the spiral or studied the spiral was like I could feel intuitively there was still like we were working on the mental blocks, but there was something else there, and I didn't know. Sometimes I would pick up on it, but I didn't know how to move people through that. So the spiral, when I came across this, I was like, this is the missing puzzle piece. Like, it's, I can still do the coaching aspect of it and working with the mind, which is really important, because, our thoughts create how we feel. But then if you have a block on an emotional level, which you may not be aware of, like if you're strongly resisting, like, what you're saying before, kind of like the shadow work, or you're resisting feeling shame, but it's showing up a lot for you, that can be causing a lot of resistance and blocking you from, say, manifesting what you want in life. And then once you actually feel that and clear it, at like what we do in the spiral process, it just frees your body up, your energy body, your emotional body up, so that you're not bumping up against resistance, but you're also not clinging and attached to something like, I need it to be this way, because if I don't prove myself, then that means I'm unworthy. Or just as an example, like, it's like, I need to make this much money, because if I don't, I'm a failure, or something like that. So you can have strong resistance where you're maybe not showing up, you're not being visible, because of a suppressed or a subconscious feeling, like you're scared of being judged or something like that. But on the flip side, you can have this really strong attachment to something, like, you want to be attached to, say, like the positive, positive emotions. Like, there's no negative or positive, but so I can't remember I can't remember what the question was and if I answered that, but
no, that's perfect. It was just, and so how do you feel it changed things for you? I know you sort of said it was a missing piece for you in the work that you were doing, because it gave you a way to really hold people and help them move through some of those emotions that were sitting there. How do you feel it's helped you kind of align more with your life purpose and work through going through that journey?
So because when I was coaching, I worked very intuitively anyway. It just, yeah, added this like emotion piece. Like, I really do feel like part of my purpose is to help people to feel their emotions.
Yes.
Because it just gives you so much more freedom. And like I said before, once you are feeling, you're tapping into your body, you're tapping into your heart, like you're getting out of your head. I don't know, for me, it's like a spiritual practice, you know, when you're feeling, you feel alive, like whether that is extreme shame or guilt or sadness, like, you know, we don't want to necessarily stay in those heavier emotions all the time, but yeah, it's feeling is living. So if we're suppressing our emotions, like it's like what's the point? You know, where we're missing the point of living. We're just stuck up in our head. It's like we become a robot or a machine. So, you know, and so many women that I speak to, they're like, I want to feel more fulfilled. You know, I want to live my purpose. Like they have this calling or this yearning. I think as women, it's like part of our DNA or something, you know, like, so yeah, it's helped with that. I think it was just this stepping stone to like help me to do that with people and myself deeper. It's definitely been an initiation for me.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love that because you're right. I think so many of us are so in our heads. It's like we're sort of taught that society values that kind of logic and reasoning and powers of deduction and, you know, information. And I think a lot of us are kind of, we do spend a lot of time there, particularly us air signs.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things. And so you're right. I think sometimes, you know, we don't really know if we don't even know what those emotions are. So if you can sort of be led through a process where, as you said, you're getting back into your body, you're able to tap into it. And you're right, so many of us almost resist it on some level. And if you actually do allow yourself to go there, that's what I say. It's something like, they say 90 seconds and it's gone, you know, if that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's so quick, you know. And I always think back, it makes me laugh. Do you remember we had a session that time? And I remember, I think I said to you, it was like, with that Kelly Clarkson song. Remember Since You've Been Gone? I always think about that because that song for me, it's like it just helps me move through like anger and frustration. And I just remember the two of us. Do you remember it was almost like you're like, come on, I'll do it with you. And the two of us were there, just kind of like almost head banging and just kind of moving this energy through the body. And I just remember like it's just going to be a standout for me, I think, you know, because it was just one of those things where it was like it's giving me permission to, you know, actually just go there and it's okay. And it's like, you know, and I think you're right. I think if more of us in society actually allowed ourselves to go there and feel what we're actually feeling, I honestly think the world would be a much better place because I really think emotional intelligence, or rather lack of emotional intelligence, is kind of one of the major problems with our society. I really do. And I'm sure you kind of feel that too in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, especially being in Sydney, like in a you know a major city, it's everyone's just kind of suppressed and numb and walking around like on their phones and stuff, and you kind of get sucked into that. You don't really realize. I went away to Cairns recently and came back and just feel the intensity of the energy here. Like everyone's in a rush, everyone's go 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 go. But yeah, like. And I love, like you were saying about the air signs, like I love information. I love listening to podcasts and, you know, reading and writing and all of those things. But yeah, like it's, for me lately, it's just been a reminder to actually, for myself to come back and drop into the, like, how do I actually feel? Allow myself to feel. It's just so powerful.
It is. And I love that you share that as well, like on your socials, like on Instagram and stuff, you'll often show yourself kind of, you know, moving through sadness or something. And I think it's really important for people to see that, you know, we're humans and we're going through it and we're, you know, it's, as I touched on earlier, it's like how we're leading ourselves through that, you know, because as we said, it's like, you need to be able to go there because it's the only way I really feel that you are going to be able to, as you said beautifully, like bloom bravely. You know, it's like, so I love that you're all about that. And as I said, really share that with your audience.
Yeah.
So cool. So just with that, so can you tell me, like, I don't know, one or two, say, client success stories that really kind of highlight the power and potency of like Spiral combined with your coaching?
Yeah. So it's interesting, like when people come to me and go through the spiral journey. So I
Mm,
have like, I incorporate the spiral, which is 7 sessions,
mm,
a series of 7 sessions, which align with the chakra system, if people are
mm,
familiar with that.
mm,
But in my program, I add on a few bonus sessions as well. And people usually come, like the women, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, like healers and coaches, and they come to me and they're like, you know, I want to up level, or it is about like I want to feel worthy and things like
mm,
that. But it's not necessarily having like a big breakthrough, like say income month or something like that in terms of results. It's more like they leave and they feel lighter, or they feel
mm,
calm, or they do feel more worthy. And I
mm,
remember one client was like, I realized that my worthiness isn't attached to how much money I make or how much money is in the bank. Like things like that, where again, similar to what we've been talking about, right? Like actually
mm,
just getting out of your head or the ego almost and coming back to the heart. And it's like, oh yeah, like a current client, one of my current clients was like, I think it was like the first session, she was like, oh, she made some changes based on what came up in the session. She's like, oh,
mm,
it feels so luxurious. Like,
mm,
it feels so good to just put herself first. Like she's a mum, and just to make, small tweaks based on her, self-worth. Like
mm.
she can put herself first. It's like, she was like, oh, if we're done after one session, I'd be happy now. Like, I like, so
I
yeah,
love
it's things like that, like less attached to outcomes.
that.
And like
Yes.
it's like I was saying before, like letting go of that resistance, but the letting go of being attached, so that you can be present, you can enjoy
Mm,
your life more, you can feel more fulfilled. So those are the kind of, and it's interesting, right? Because we do something, or we want something because we feel like it's going to change the way we feel, essentially.
mm.
So the spiral helps you do that, like without, achieving anything. It's just like, oh, I am enough just as I am, or I can be happy just as I am. I don't need to do anything more, or you know what I mean? So
Yes.
yeah,
And
it's
that's
pretty magical.
everything. That's everything. Because as we said, I mean, like there's so many programs, and I know that's kind of was my experience. It was like you can show up and there's all these amazing strategies out there, but if at a really deep level you're not feeling enough or you're not feeling worthy, it doesn't matter what strategy you have, it's not going to work in the way that it could potentially work. So as we said, sometimes it doesn't necessarily feel like this massive night and day, like 100K months or something, but it's like this is actually the work. And this work is so important. This is the key to the
Yeah.
key. It really is. So do you have
Yeah.
any kind of oh, sorry, yeah.
Oh no, yeah, I was just gonna say letting go of those like external, like, your validation isn't tied to something external. Like, it's like coming back within and realizing like, oh yeah, I don't need anything, like anything else externally is like a bonus.
Bonus. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, exactly. You're
Yeah.
right. That's the thing. I think we're sort of so used to chasing something and chasing these goals and being attached to it and being so impacted if we don't get it, or if this
Yeah.
person upsets us. So it's like having that really solid foundation that, as you said, it's like, I always feel it's like, there can be storms, but your roots are so solid that you're not going to be impacted if someone doesn't buy, or you have a bad month, or you have a fight with your partner. It's like, yeah, you're still going to feel the emotions, and that's great, and you want to go there, but it's not affecting you as a person and your wholeness and your truth and your worthiness. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I love that. So do you have a go-to process or something that helps you in your day-to-day that you can share with us today?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily related to like the spiral
Yeah,
or the
no,
work
that's
that
good.
I do in my sessions with my clients,
Mm,
because that I can't really, just share that
yeah.
quickly with people. But one thing that I created for myself, because this year it's been a big journey for me around like opening up my heart,
Mm,
because I don't know whether I was meditating one day or something, but I was like, oh, no wonder I'm like not really receiving what I want, because I felt like, so the left hand side is like your receiving side, your
mm,
feminine side, right? And the
mm,
right hand side is like your giving, the masculine. So
mm,
I realized like that my left hand side, my
mm,
feminine side, receptive side, was really blocked, like
mm,
energetically. Some people might be like, what do you mean? But yeah, so for me, being attuned to energy, it just felt really blocked. So created this process, and I've actually recorded a podcast on it too, open up like your receiving channel, basically. So it's like a heart opening meditation where you're circulating the energy. So in short, basically, what you do is like you sit down and meditate, your arms like, you know, facing palms upwards. And then you just imagine, like, whether it's like, you know, you can visualize it, a color, or just feeling, whatever your preference is, that feeling the energy going in through the left palm, up the left side to your heart. So, and it's really interesting when you start doing it, it might feel a bit like, I don't feel anything, or it might feel a bit stuck like I was. But then you imagine it flowing from your heart down your right side, out your right palm, and just going around in circles. So, and you can sync it with your breath as well.
Yes.
So breathing in through the left side up to the heart, and then as you're breathing out, imagining it going out the right side. So you're just circulating this energy with the breath. And the more you do it, like the more you will either become aware of the energy if you don't really sense anything or see or feel anything, but also you will notice it become more open. Like you'll, you know, balance out that receiving and giving, because as women and as empaths, we give a lot. We give and we overgive, but we're not necessarily very good at receiving. So I find that I give that as like a homework exercise for a few of my clients, because it's just been so helpful for me in my own journey as well. So.
Yeah, no, I love that, because you're right. We're great at sort of giving, often to our detriment and to our depletion. But when it comes to receiving, that often is the missing piece, that we just need to be able to feel comfortable and safe to receive. So, and it's funny, just when you were saying it, because I am quite sensitive to energy, and I was feeling it. It was almost like I was sensing a pink kind of color in energy moving through the left. And then as it was in the heart, it was almost then becoming more of a purpley kind of color as it was going out. And it was like this cycle, kind of this circle going in and out. So I thought, I could just, the more I was doing it, I could feel the momentum and the energy building. So I can see how that would definitely, doing something like that regularly would be really valuable.
And you touched on it as well, like actually doing that for yourself you'll start to create that sense of safety, because safety is massive. And we think like, oh, we want these things and we want to, I don't know, manifest more clients or more money or whatever it is, a partner. But are we actually open to receiving that? Is our like energy open to receiving that? You know, like a lot of us have like a guard, like we're so guarded because we've been hurt, and makes sense. Like we put up these protective barriers. But, you know, if we could do this practice or something like that to create the safety and notice, like create the self-awareness, and it's like, it's safe for me to open up. It's safe for me to receive, you know? So,
and I love that. It's something that people often miss, but it really is something that, as we said, it's foundational, really. So so the last question, this is a big question. So I know my last guest, she was like, wow, that is a big question. Like, I know, but let's go there. So imagine you're 85 years old and you're being interviewed. It's kind of like, remember that this is your life kind of series. So tell me, you know, like, what impact is there on your heart that you'd like to be known by, or, you know, known for? What would that be?
It is a big question. I love it though. I absolutely love this question. It's a great question. It's very unique too. I would say that when you say that, it makes me think about my grandma and the impact that she had on me. Like, so she made me feel like I was so seen and heard and enough, and like, you know, accepted just as I was. Like, so I always think about, you know, for say my legacy or my impact, like I think about quality over quantity, like having a deeper impact on fewer people. Like, I'm not here for the masses. I don't want to be, you know, famous and anything like that, but just having like a real deep impact with people. And like I was saying at the beginning, like whether it's making or helping one woman to like recognize their worth, or helping them to, you know, have the courage to live their purpose, or live a life that's, you know, meaningful to them, that's fulfilling to them, rather than what society says they should do and be. Like, for me, that lights my heart on fire. Like, and just to yeah, to be an embodiment or a leader of love. And I think that's the emotional work, like actually, not being scared of feeling my emotions and leading in that way. So that, yeah, we're not like, robots, or, we don't lose that connection, yeah, with our emotions and our heart and our intuition.
Yeah.
So,
And as you said,
yeah.
and feeling safe in our bodies, feeling safe to sort of feel the range of emotions. And it's okay. We're not going to get swallowed up by them. And, it's sort of because, on some level, I don't know why we resist it. It's like, but we do. But it's kind of like realizing it's okay. You go there and it's gone, move through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Well,
that.
it makes so much sense, right? Because we've been taught from an early age, like we have been conditioned, like, oh, don't be angry, like don't cry, like, keep, like, put on a happy face, or like, girls are to be seen and not heard, or
True.
there's so much like conditioning around it. So it's like no wonder. Like, I didn't live in I like grow up in a family where there was a freedom or encouragement to feel your feelings. So I don't know if that's
Me
why I'm so
neither.
passionate about it. Like,
Mm.
because I have seen, the more I do it in my adult years, like how healing it is, how transformational it is. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, like I said, like the more, it allows you to experience joy. Like a lot of people don't feel like they have an issue with joy, but when they go through the spiral and we get to joy, people realize like how, like coming back to that being open, like they realize like, oh, I'm not allowing myself to feel joy. So yeah, there's a lot of shame around that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, no, I love that. And yeah, holding that space for someone is huge, isn't it? Like as you said, like I was getting goosebumps when you were saying that about your grandma. But yeah, to sort of I think
Mm,
that's the biggest thing that you can do for someone, for them to feel safe and heard and seen and understood and validated. Like that is everything. It really is.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just giving people permission to be themselves and realize like you are enough. Like, like yeah. So
Yes, exactly. And
mm,
it's almost like energetically, let's transmit that to all of the viewers, all of the audience, like you are enough, you're enough, you're worthy, you are amazing, you are
yeah.
whole and complete just as you are. Yeah.
Yes,
Feel that
definitely.
truth, let it seep through every cell of your body. Yeah. So
Definitely.
I love
Yeah.
that. So excellent. All right. And I will leave some links for you below so people can follow you and see the beautiful work that you're doing in the world. So thank you so much, Jayne. And I look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you so much for having me, Belinda. It was such a pleasure. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Bye.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.
Bye.